Hello students, welcome to my channel and MCQ series of political science. This is part 2 of the topic. In this video, we will discuss about the topic of liberty. 50 most important questions are given in this video with all important facts. This video is very helpful for you. If you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon so that you can get the notification of my new videos. Let us start from the first question. The distinction between love of self and love of esteem is central to the thought of which famous thinker? The correct option is Rousseau. Who said the idea of legitimation is one of the central conceptions of political science? The correct option is option C. C. Wright Mills. Who described freedom as the silence of the laws? The correct option is option C. Thomas Hobbes. Who said that law does not restrict liberty, it rather enlarges and defends it? The correct option is option B. John Locke. Now the question is, who is the author of the book Capitalism and Freedom? The correct option is option C. Milton Friedman. He represents the second view of liberty, which shows liberty as freedom of choice. He proposes in his book that economic freedom consists of freedom of choice in the marketplace, the freedom of consumer to choose what to buy, the freedom of the worker to choose his job or profession, and the freedom of the producer to choose what to produce and whom to employ. Who said to choose implies that the individual can make unhindered and voluntary selection from a range of different options? The correct option is option D. Andrew Haywood. Who was one of the first liberals to embrace the positive notion of liberty? The correct option is option C. T.H. Green. One of the first liberals to embrace the positive notion of liberty was T.H. Green, who defined freedom as the ability of people to make the most and best of themselves. Who distinguished between self-regarding and other-regarding actions? The correct option is option A. John Stuart Mill. Mill distinguished between self-regarding and other-regarding action, i.e., actions which affected the individual only and actions which affected the society at large. Who is the author of the book The State in Capitalist Society? The correct option for this question is Ralph Miliband. Who wrote the book Two Concepts of Liberty? The correct option is I.J. Berlin. In his classical book Two Concepts of Liberty, I.J. Berlin tries to reconcile the negative and positive notions of liberty. Who points out that man has the capacity to identify and understand the forces which condition and determine his life? The correct option is option B. Friedrich Engels. In which of his work Milton Friedman developed a notion of liberty as a significant aspect of capitalist society? The correct option is capitalism and freedom. According to whom political theory is the attempt truly to know the nature of political things. The correct option is option B, Leo Strauss. In which of his work F.A. Hayek has propounded a theory of liberty which emphasizes the negative role of the state? The correct option is option C, the Constitution of Liberty. In his work, The Constitution of Liberty, F.A. Hayek has propounded a theory of liberty which emphasizes the negative role of the state. For Hayek, a state of liberty is achieved when the individual is not subject to the arbitrary will of another individual. Which famous lecture was given by Max Weber in 1918? Politics as a Vocation. Who explained that in modern societies aloofness was brought about owing to the separation of the individual from his creative capacities and social relations? The correct option is option C, Eric Fromm. One group of thinkers, evidently influenced by the Marxist notion of freedom, emphasized that liberty as practiced in modern capitalist societies breeds loneliness. Eric Fromm explained that in modern societies, aloofness was brought about owing to the separation of the individual from his creative capacities and social relations. This separation generated physical and moral aloofness in the individual, affecting his mental well-being. It was only through creative and collective work that the individual could restore himself to society. Who said man is able to express himself only as a consumer, constantly engaged in the satisfaction of his physical needs? The correct option is option C, Herbert Marcuse. Herbert Marcuse's notion about the creative multi-dimensional capacity of the individual is the part of his famous work One-Dimensional Man Studies in the Ideology of Advanced Industrial Society, which was published in 1968. According to whom a free man is he that in those things which he by his strength and which he is able to do is not hindered to do what he has a will to. The correct option is Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes presented his notion of liberty in his famous work Leviathan as the absence of external impediments. Who said a polity in which there is the same law for all, a polity administered with regard to equal right and equal freedom of speech, and the idea of a kingly government which respect most of all the freedom of the governed? The correct option is option A, Marcus Aurelius. Thomas Hobbes' famous quote, "A free man is he that is those things which by his strength and wit he is able to do, is not hindered to do what he hath and will to do is taken from which work." The correct option is option C, Leviathan. Who was the first to recognize the difference between liberty as the freedom to act and liberty as the absence of coercion? The correct option is John Stuart Mill. In which year On Liberty book was published? The correct option is option D, 1859. Social contract theory was first suggested by whom? The correct option is option C, Plato. The social contract theory most influentially formulated by Hobbes, John Locke, and Rousseau, but it was firstly suggested by Plato in his famous work, The Republic. Which act laid down the cornerstones of the concept of individual liberty in Great Britain? The correct option is Act of Union 1707. When was Magna Carta enacted? The correct option is option D, in 1215. Magna Carta was issued in June 1215 and was the first document to put into writing the principle that the king and his government was not above the law. When was Petition of Right passed by the British Parliament? In 1628. In 1628, the English Parliament passed the Petition of Right, which set out a specific liberty of English subjects. The Petition of Right, passed on 7th June 1628, is an English constitutional document setting out a specific individual protection against the state, reportedly the equal value to Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights 1689. Which act passed by the English Parliament outlawed unlawful or arbitrary imprisonment? The correct option is option C, Habeas Corpus Act. In 1679, the English Parliament passed the Habeas Corpus Act, which outlawed unlawful or arbitrary imprisonment. Which act granted freedom of speech in Parliament and reinforced many existing civil rights in England? The correct option is Bill of Rights. In 1689, the Bill of Rights granted freedom of speech in Parliament and reinforced many existing civil rights in England. In which work I.G.I. Berlin identified negative liberty as an obstacle as distinct from positive liberty, which promotes self-mastery and the concepts of freedom? The correct option is Two Concepts of Liberty. After which amendment of American Constitution, American women got right to vote? The correct option is option C, 19th Amendment. After 19th Amendment, American Constitution guarantees all American women the right to vote. While presenting a critique of neorealism, who made the case of subaltern realism? The correct option is Mahmoud Ayub. In which case the Supreme Court of America ruled that a state's ban on the use of contraceptives violated the right to marital privacy? The correct option is option A, Griswold versus Connecticut. In the United States Supreme Court decision Griswold versus Connecticut, Justice William O. Douglas argued that liberties relating to personal relationships, such as marriage, have a unique primacy of place in the hierarchy of freedoms. Who said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The correct option is Thomas Jefferson, who asserted that you must be a member of a free self-governing civil association, a republic, if you are to enjoy individual liberty. The correct option is option C, Machiavelli. Through which constitutional amendment slavery was abolished in America? The correct option is the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime. Who says liberty is the freedom of individual to express without external hindrances his personality? The correct option is C. D. S. Cole. Who says freedom is not the absence of all restraint, but rather the substitution of rational ones for the irrational? McCutcheon. Who says liberty is the eager maintenance of that atmosphere in which men have the opportunities to be their best selves? The correct option is option A, Lasky. Who became famous for his words, "Man is born free, but is in chains everywhere." The correct option is option B, Rousseau. Who observes political liberty means the power to be active in the affairs of the state? The correct option is option C, Lasky. Who is the author of the book Four Essays on Liberty? The correct option is I.G.I. Berlin. In which of his book Norman P. Barry appreciated I.G.I. Berlin's views of liberty in the moral sphere? The correct option is option D, An Introduction to Modern Political Theory. Who was the main proponent of the neoliberalism? The correct option is option B, Margaret Thatcher. Which book gives the idea of the night watchman state? The correct option is option A, Anarchy, State and Utopia. Robert Nozick, who publicized the idea of a minimal state in Anarchy, State and Utopia, argued that a night watchman state provides a framework that allows for any political system that respects fundamental individual rights. It therefore morally justifies the existence of a state. Who stated that an individual can enjoy the liberty of self-determination only if the state performs limited functions, that of the protection of property rights. The correct option is Robert Nozick, who proposes auction theory to attain a free state. The correct option is Ronald Dworkin. Ronald Dworkin proposes his auction theory to attain a free state. He says that resources should be distributed according to envy. Every individual has to pass the envy test. Whatever resources are at the disposal of community, individuals will get it according to their desires and envy so that they can put it to use for realizing a just society. Who upholds the capability approach for the realization of freedom? The correct option is option A, Amartya Sen. The capability approach is a normative approach to human welfare that concentrates on the actual capability of persons to achieve their well-being rather than on their mere right or freedom to do so. Who says all personal is political? The correct option is Betty Friedan. Betty Friedan remarked that all personal is political. Freedom will be realized when the politics of everyday life is governed on the principles of justice and fairness. Who is the author of the book Liberty, Equality, Fraternity? The correct option is James Fred James Stephen. Which book is not written on the concept of liberty? The correct option is option C, Patriarcha. Thank you for watching my video.